This video is for documentary purposes only. Anything shown here is in legal states, 100% legal. Nothing shown is harmful or dangerous. Now, when it comes to feeding your plant, a lot of people do bottle-based nutrients, some do organic feeding. But myself, I'm done with the bottles. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why I officially, after growing now for 20 years, will never use bottle nutrients again. Stay tuned.
Like I always do about this time.
Now, if you're new here, my name is Rob and we talk all things herb. Today in particular, I'm going to be going over some changes in my garden, kind of breaking down why I'm getting away from using bottle-based nutrients. And if you do use bottle nutrients, don't be discouraged, but maybe this video will convince you to change up with me. If not, no worries. Goku, do you agree? He says yes. Real quick, huge shout out to the sponsors for help keeping these lights on here, specifically VivoSun and Seedsman. Now, you already know here at CLtv, I only rock with companies that I actually use in the garden and that I believe are really helping the community. And that's why I'm working with VivoSun and Seedsman. VivoSun has been stepping their game up like crazy lately with some amazing new tents that are rock solid. No more fighting with cheap zippers or light leaks, and their controller goes along with it amazing to dial everything in, whether you're on the go or you're at home. Fans, lights, exhaust, they got you covered. And if that's a little too much for you, you can also check out that V-Grow. It's simple, small, and something you can even stash right in the living room. You can use discount code CLTV or CLTV Watch on Amazon. But great gear doesn't mean much without some solid genetics, and that's why I also partnered with Seedsman. Now, they're working with some amazing breeders and have some great genetics themselves. They even got Mr. Grower's Chill F4. So whether you're looking for classics, limited drops, or something brand new to pheno hunt, Seedsman's got you covered. Use discount code CLTV at checkout and help the channel and help your pockets as well. But back to the show. Now, when I first started growing, we had grow stores. And where you live, you may still have grow stores. And if you do, God bless you. That's amazing. And shout out to your local grow store. Support them as much as you can. And while I do want you to support my sponsors, if you can get equipment local near you that's more affordable, grab it. If you can get nutrients near you or soil near you,
grab me one too.
However, when I was there, I didn't have a whole lot of direction. And well, there was some people who were at the grow store that I could talk to and that would give me some good insight on products that I should check out or maybe ways that I should grow or utilize the things in my grow. A lot of the people there were sold on the marketing in the simple kind of logical fallacy of growing with bottles. Essentially, you get a recipe, you follow the guide, and you're gonna get good results. You go into the grow store and you see packages that show big buds and big, crazy, cool marketing that really makes you think that this is the only way to achieve the results that you're after. Whether that be the terpenes, the overall potency, the yield. A lot of times the marketing is going to push heavy in those bottles that show that this is the only way to do it. However, that's not always the case. Now, a lot of new growers start here because it's plug and play, and I fully understand that because when I first started, I wanted to have a recipe that was simple for me. But these days with the internet, there's so many recipes for organic soils or for organic amendments that do make things easier. And here's the thing about bottle nutrients is you're starting over fresh each time and it can be very costly. Now you buy a new lineup, you run it through veg and flower, and by the end of harvest, those bottles are oftentimes empty. And you got to do it all over again, over and over and over. Now this adds up in not just time, but in money. You're mixing all those nutrients every feed, you're checking the EC and pH, you're flushing to prevent salt buildup, and you're potentially dealing with runoff. The amount of time and energy and dollars put in, for me, just stopped making sense a while ago. It's okay for a few harvests, don't get me wrong, but when we're doing this just for a hobby or for those of us who consume quite a bit, it just becomes daunting and not really worth the time. Now with organic soil, you could essentially just amend it once and run it all the way through your harvest, or depending on the size of your pot, may have to do it 2 times, and then once a week with a tea. Myself, I use Stash Blend, of course. No more throwing out my soil, throwing out bottles. It's easy and I can keep things a lot more sustainable and simple for myself. Instead of giving you a dry amendment like some companies do, which there's brands like Athena that provide this for commercial grows, but once they decided to sell it to us, the home grower, a blended line seemed to make more sense. I don't know, there must be logic for it. However, when it boils down to it, a lot of us are paying crazy shipping prices or paying the inflated prices because of shipping at the local grow store when we're buying these bottled nutrients. We're paying for plastic also that doesn't break down in these different landfills. And this is stuff that's going to stay around for a long time. A lot of people don't properly dispose of their nutrient bottles, and it makes for potentially chemicals that are going to get into our water supplies. Another issue that I tend to see is the massive amount of bottles that we have to get. Now, some companies will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on what you have, but others will give you like 8 to 10, which gets crazy. The cost is crazy, The mixing regimen is crazy, and of course, having a big stack of nutrients in the corner of your grow just takes up a lot of unnecessary space. And when it comes to, again, getting rid of these bottles, a lot of times we're gonna have nowhere to properly dispose of them. And you don't wanna be pouring them into your toilets or into your sinks, because this can not only mess up your pipes, but it could potentially be an issue in our drinking water. Now, most places do have quality water treatment, but I'm in Michigan, so we've had issues in the past.
Flint.
Now, when it boils down to it, we have a lot of different options, more than ever, in my opinion. But when it comes to bottle-based nutrients, no matter how you want to look at it, if they're salt-based nutrients, you can run into things like salt buildup, and it can completely lock out the food that's going into your plant. If this happens, it's detrimental to your overall harvest and can slow down your harvest per year. It's something that you don't often see with organic soil, but it can happen as well there too if you have too hot of a mix. But why now, after years, am I going to stop growing with bottle-based nutrients? I get better results from organic growing with less effort. And I'm not saying that you get better results from organic in general. Some will dispute that and say otherwise. However, when I've done my side-by-sides in the past, the results speak for themselves. It's more cost-effective, and it's easier to get these results from organic soil. It becomes an automated process. It makes it so it's so much more sustainable for me, where I don't have to keep buying more bottles or adding more water into more water and then mixing it every couple days or every day, depending on your feeding regimen, and consistently having to water your plants food water. I like to be able to have something that's more naturally, of course, obtained. That'd be great, but not in all cases is that a huge deal. Sometimes you can get dry-based nutrients. I know Seasoman has some. I believe Jax is another brand that has some. Let me know below in the comment section some other dry powdered nutrients that you know of that work really well for yourself, or that you've heard of others having really good experiences with. But there's plenty of other options that bottled nutrients I just feel aren't necessary anymore. And clearly that means you don't have to switch to organic. Myself and the boys, we have a product with Stash Blend that we're working on that is a base nutrient essentially. So I've been working towards that for a while, and I already have soil that I've had for about 5 years now, consistently using this over and over and over. That works really well for me. Now, I have had runs recently, like if you've been watching my weekly updates on the live streams, that's all synthetic. And it worked, but the amount of time that I put in just didn't make sense, man. Like, I'm busy, I'm a father, I don't have anybody else helping me around the house, I've got businesses, content creator, and I like to be able to chill once in a while and play some damn video games or watch the fights too, so, you know, sorry.
I'm human.
Everybody has to figure out a routine for them and a regimen for them that makes the most sense, and if you don't have the options to do this, obviously automation works really well, and you can still use bottle-based nutrients with automation, drip irrigation, however you want to run that, but again, the sustainability and where these things are sourced become an issue for me. And that's why me personally, I switched to organic soil, and I'm gonna be sticking with organic soil and organic amendments and then just watering with Stash Blend. And I don't wanna get all hippy jippy, but there's a big reason why I think these bottles are really bad for us as growers and for our planet. Main thing is sustainability. That's not just our pockets, but that's the planet as well. We have thousands and thousands of bottles that are just out in landfills with chemicals all within them that are poisoning our earth and that aren't taking care of anything besides these rich companies. And I really feel at this point they're selling us water in these massive containers that could just been a powder that we weigh and mix into water that we have at home, because most of us have water, right? So I don't understand why we need to buy water these days. And there are some that do have recycling programs, but they're very low value recycling, and I just have a hard time believing that it's really cost effective for any of these brands to do this. So most of them aren't doing this. And then think about the transport as well with this. They're selling water. So there's these massive gallons, these reservoirs that need to be shipped all over the world, which again has a heavy carbon footprint, and that's a big issue for our planet these days. And some people may say I'm tripping and I'm a hippie shit, but whatever, dude. And then input sourcing. This is also a big issue when it comes to these nutrients. A lot of these companies are just mining and getting resources from different countries and are depleting what they have. And it's making it so our earth, again, is losing more and more resources. We're using these things like phosphorus and manganese that are essentially taking away from our precious resources of the earth. And we can do a lot of these things at home with natural elements that we can grow ourselves, or we can just slowly add and cook up over time and make better and better and better. Some of these things, of course, have to be sourced internationally, but a lot of these things can be sourced locally. And when it comes to the environmental impact and the labor, it's very sketchy and questionable in a lot of these places. Now, when we talk about bottled nutrients, most companies are just rebranding the same commodity salts used in large-scale agriculture. And usually they source that calcium nitrate, magnesium sulfate, phosphates, and trace elements from global suppliers. Then they mix those into liquids or into powder formulas if you're lucky enough. Now, there are brands that do have a little bit more quality control, such as Athena. Unlike some brands that are just simply white label, Athena actually invested in their own facility. They built a pretty large-scale automated blending operation in Cali, and it lets them control the formulations in-house. From what I read, they test every batch for solubility, purity, and heavy metals, and they want to make sure everything has quality control and is very tight. And no, this is not me endorsing them, but if you're going to be using bottled nutrients, at least, they have some quality materials that they start with. Now, Athena does things a little bit differently, but a lot of these companies, essentially, they're the same. They just mix a couple different components together and slap a better brand on there. And the price point varies dramatically for some of these companies. It just depends on which ones you're dealing with. Now, what I've noticed more times than not is when you're paying more, you do think you're getting better quality, but these days it seems like you're paying for more branding and marketing. And honestly, that's just a slap in the face for us. Because we already get hit with a green tax, why give us some bullshit inflated price as well? And especially when you're just selling us water majority of the time. And the tough part is a lot of nutrient companies don't disclose their suppliers, and for good reason. If they have proprietary blends or things that they're doing a little differently, we'll say, it makes it so they don't want to have their competitors being able to find out what they source from and potentially beating them out for price. And majority of these companies aren't vertically integrated, and if they are, they're usually not doing everything on the up and up, so to speak. And that's just my opinion, of course. Allegedly. It's all alleged, do not sue me. Now, when it comes down to it, you're paying for marketing, water, and also having a heavy environmental impact, which sucks. Now, if you know a little bit of chemistry or your NPK, your base micro and macronutrients, you're going to be able to source some of these things yourself and maybe mix them and do it on your own. Be your own chemist, so to speak. However, you may want things that are organic. Now, we've had videos that go over organic versus synthetic and which is better and why, and pros and cons over on From the Stash. You can check that out. But in my opinion, organic is just an easier, more sustainable, eco-friendly and pocket-friendly option. And of course, that's just my 2 cents. This is how I grow and this is what works for me. Not everybody's gonna have the same setup and not everybody's gonna have the same opinions. But how are you growing and what do you think works best for you? Let me know below in the comment section. With that being said, my name is Rob. I appreciate you guys watching. Stay lifted. Peace.